welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar resigns from the All Progressives Congress. Kaduna State Governor El Rufai criticizes Atiku's decision to quit the APC, describes him as a serial defector. Political scientist examines Atiku's political odyssey. And suspected terrorists kill over 230 people in a gun and bomb attack on a mosque in Egypt's northern Sinai province. Now, just a quick reminder to you that for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. And log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Now let's quickly take a look at those pictures that were sent in to us. And first is this one from Kubwa in Abuja, the federal capital city. It shows a traffic signal at the El Rufai bus stop indicating the green and red lights simultaneously. The Eyewitness reporter says this is confusing and it's been the order of the day for several weeks. He wants the relevant authorities to fix it. Still on roads, here's one from Cross River State showing a long queue of vehicles held at a gridlock in Odukmani Junction. The Eyewitness reporter is asking the state government to rehabilitate this road, which serves as the major route into Calabar. Also from Cross River State comes this image showing the Akbabuyo Road completely flooded. The Eyewitness reporter is asking the state government to direct its attention to fixing the damaged road and the drainage as well. And finally, we have this picture showing a child whom the Eyewitness reporter claims is a victim of child labor in Edo State. For him, every child is encouraged to take part in house chores, but he says it should not be at the expense of the child's education or well-being. Do send us some pictures when you can. Thanks for the ones that you sent in already. Let's take another look at our lead story. That's the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar resigning from the All Progressives Congress. Let's try and put this into some perspective now. I'm being joined on the news at 10 by a lecturer in the Department of Political Science, University of Lagos, Dr. Kayode Isuola. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you very much.
Already we have different reactions to his resignation. The party expressing surprise but saying, well, letting him go. Some of the leaders saying no surprise to them at all. What do you think?
Well, there shouldn't be any surprise at all, because politics is central to the behavior of man. For every point of analysis, you see that it is not very, very rosy for Atiku Abubakar to become the presidential candidate of APC.
What do you know very rosy?
Well, very rosy because the incumbent president is still in power, and opinion of people has not finally gone against him. So for strategic reason, he needs to seek another platform where he's likely to become the presidential candidate. Someone who has been governor, who never ruled as a governor, someone who became the vice president. The next stage is presidency. So for him, as a matter of strategy, he still needs somewhere where he can really achieve the aim of becoming president. And so that's just normal to the behavior of man.
Does that mean you agree with what the Kaduna State Governor has said, calling him a serial contestant, saying no surprise at all, he's no stranger to carpet crossing? Could it all be about politics of 2019?
Well, when you have political ambition, there's nothing wrong in you contesting serially. After all, the current president contested more than 4 or 5 times before he eventually be. I mean, one American president said, success is failure plus failure plus failure and failure. For politicians, there's no problem about that at all. So it's not new, you know.
Well, in terms of where he could be going, we see he was received by some of the new executives of the PDP, so already there's this feeling that could that be where he's heading politically. What do you think? Could you draw any inference from that? You think they're courting him already, or is it a done deal?
It's quite difficult for anybody to think about any other party now for Atiku Abubakar, given the figure, the posture. It's most likely going to be PDP. But there can be surprise, because if you look at the speech, he alluded to the fact that some members of the party who are also key are not very pleased with the APC. And so mentioning their name could make you suspect that these ones are also consulted, and they're likely to go the way Atiku has gone. And it's not unlikely, and I'm emphasizing, that such people will gather together and team with him to form another party.
So you're suggesting that there might be more big wigs defecting? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not unlikely from the speech that I read this morning.
How would that, I mean, Nigeria's politics has changed somewhat. Will that change things up? You know, the political formula, if you have him on the other side? I don't know, I'm just saying.
It's not likely, because we've always talked about the lack of ideology. That is not to say one is good or one is bad, but Nigerian politicians are the same thing. Those who came to APC came from PDP, and then when the ground is not fertile, they move back to PDP. It's all about getting platform for political power, because in Nigeria, politics is not a way of making points. Politics is like a career. It's a profession. I mean, if a lecturer is in the university, you can move from one university to another in search of your career advancement. Politicians do the same. If I'm not going to get what I want in this party, I can move to another party in Nigeria, because it is profession, it is trade. And it gets to be treated like that. And
speaking about people, the platform, and those who we've seen throw their hat in the ring, you've seen the governor, state governor Fayose, coming out to say this is what he wants to do. What does this sort of thing do to that announcement? I mean, looking at it from a political perspective now.
Yeah,
can that turn the tables?
It will always sort itself out. It's all about alignment and realignment. Sometime in the future, and that feature maybe next week or a fortnight, they will always come together to arrive at something. But what it points out is that if you look at the speech of Atiku Abubakar, which I read this morning, the point being made, you know, politics aside, is that APC has found it very difficult to live up to the expectation of Nigerians. Okay, and it's high time, you know, the party began to address that if it wants to have any semblance of relevance in 2019.
What about the argument that in politics, beyond courting the party and the platform, you need to court the people? And some of his critics have said that he hasn't done a very good job of courting the Nigerian people and winning them over, really, to his side. What would you say about that, him throwing his hat in the ring again?
I'm afraid no. Perhaps that will sound like it some 7-8 months ago, but at present, I'm a researcher. I go into town to seek opinion of people, either formally or otherwise. It is dropping very fast.
What is dropping?
The opinion of people in support of the party. I guess that's the question you asked me.
The opinion was him, that is Atiku himself, courting the people rather than the party, the APC, being the issue. That was my question to you. Perhaps you didn't get the question. The question is that his critics see him as someone who has not yet courted the Nigerian people, but is more or less courting the party and the party leaders. And so perhaps the time has come for him to come out and do that.
Yeah, maybe that's correct, but Nigerian politics has never been lost or won based on the opinion of the people. It has always been the party anyway. So for strategy, Atiku would rather concentrate on party than the people, because the people on their own do not have what it takes to take you to power. It is the party that will give you the platform.
Okay, finally, and let's look at internal democracy in the APC. That was one of the reasons that he gave as something he was unhappy about.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with him that that issue is still lingering and it's something that they would really need to sort out?
I just told you a while ago that those who are in APC now are people who moved from PDP. People don't just change their character overnight. If there was crisis of internal democracy in PDP, and the same set of people who did that in PDP and now in APC, you expect that there is problem of internal democracy there. Not only that, there's also problem of lack of constitutionalism. Then crisis of expectation of the Nigerian people. people thought that by now, given the radical departure from the PDP that we had in 2015, Nigerian people feel by now, no Nigerian will go abroad for medical treatment any longer. They feel that by now, you will not want to be interested in sending your kids to study in the United States. Perhaps you have the best university for them here. But how far have this thing gone? It's a critical question that only Nigerian people themselves will be able to answer.
All right, Dr. Kayode Isrola, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has led a walk against diabetes organized by the Olusegun Obasanjo Foundation in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The aim is to create the necessary awareness in the prevention and management of the disease among the residents of the state. In company of the State Commissioner of Health, Mr. Babatunde Ikpaye, and the Olowu of Iwo Land, Oba Abdul Rashid Akombi, the former president led the walk across some major streets in the state capital. And Chief Obasanjo and the State Commissioner asked diabetics to adhere strictly to the treatment and management of the disease through a good and healthy lifestyle. Chief Obasanjo, in his characteristic fashion, also took the opportunity to showcase his energy by showing off his dancing skills.
Is that if you are diabetic, don't be nonchalant about it. Your food, your exercise, and whatever is prescribed for you, you must stick to it. Diabetes is not a killer disease, or it should not be a killer disease unless you are careless.
The former president there showing off his dancing skills. And when the news at 10 returns, Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme seeks data on tax records of Nigerians. Do join us again.